On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Well, look here, we got a thing going on in Texas right now. Little funny thing, little bit of thing. Yeah, God bless their souls. God bless their hearts. We got to figure out what's going to happen. I think this is going to be entertaining as heck. Special session, I think, goes on for like another 15 days. These people got to stay in hiding for 15 days, but the hammer's already coming down on them. Got a bunch to talk about. We'll get into it reasonably early in the show. This whole thing in Texas is, well, frankly, it's going to be freaking awesome. Enjoyable time. Takes some of the pressure off Trump right now, too, which is interesting. Takes a little pressure off Epstein. Interesting. See, sometimes we have distractions on our side of the fence, too, because Epstein ain't going to happen till later. Ghislaine Maxwell, Ghislaine, whatever. Ghislaine. She's not going to be able to talk to us at all until after the Supreme Court thing. That's like 25th of September. Something around there. Plus or minus. Fact check me, I don't care. It's around there. Right? So we got craziness going on. And there's the normies, which, I don't know, and then there's the versions of us that I think are just not awake. I think there's a lot of people on our side of the fence that happen to be Republicans, that happen to have fallen into some of this like Q material, or maybe even just happen to be Republicans, so they watch Fox News, I don't know, whatever. I think there's a bunch of people that are quote-unquote Republicans that are here that are not awake. I think we've got a whole group of them. And then I think there's a mixture of us, of political parties and non-political and non-affiliation and everything in between, that are awake and don't frankly care, what we are called. There's varying degrees of who we are, even my audience itself, and it's weird. It's hard. It's been one of my challenges lately. Like, how do you put a message together when you know you're speaking to like very different groups of people, and yet you want to be inclusive? I don't have diversity and equity. Screw that. I just got the I. I kept the I. That's all we got. Just kind of funny. I don't know. There's been prophecy. I don't necessarily agree with, much any of the things that this comes out of this gentleman's mouth. But one of the prophecies was a lot of volcanoes going off, which, I've always heard way before, years and years ago, that during the end times, things like this would occur. Now, I also didn't understand during the end times that the magnetic field would be the way it was. Wasn't really aware of that then. I knew we had pole changes. I believed in that, and I believed we were due for one, but I didn't know what that meant, right? That's geologic terms. It could be 100 years from now, right? But magnetic fields change, and magnetic fields, everyone would say, well, those change in geologic terms too. It takes 100, 200 years. What we're finding is it takes about 150 years, 160 years. And we've got decent evidence. I don't have it in front of me right now. It comes out when it comes out, and I've got to make a better habit of watching that Sun guy more often. I think there's times where I feel I need to, or there's times where I'm seeing people talk about stuff, and I'm like, all right, let's go check with my boy because he's accurate. Other people aren't. But we had this volcano that hasn't erupted in 600 years. It erupted. We had another one that erupted right after the earthquake, so this is a different volcano. And there's, supposedly like 38 or something like that erupting currently on the planet. Now somebody, and I want to say it was Cliff High, has posited this concept in my head anyways, that the Earth is expanding in size. And I'm like, that kind of sort of works in my mind. I don't know. I don't care. Everyone else in flat Earth, that doesn't work. I don't know how that would work, if it could work. So I got this weird, and it's just a lot of volcanism happening, especially over where that whole earthquake region was, where that big one, that 8.8. So it's just something to think about. Factor it back in the brain. 5 times this weekend, people went into the no-fly zone over Trump's, Bedminster? The Bedminster, New Jersey place. Trump was supposedly there. 5 different times people flew over it. F-16s were put up in the air, and they dropped flares. I don't know what it sounds like inside a plane. I would assume it makes some noise. The video games I've played, it always makes some sort of noise, but whatever. They dropped flares, and then there's people that were like, that's environmentally dangerous. It's so strange, the shit people get pissed off about. And then the arguments they make sometimes, are you just like, really? Like the buddy of mine, I love the guy dearly, love him dearly. And yet, him being all pissed off about some chick he couldn't even think of her name for some job he couldn't think of either. Which, by the way, I barely can either. Some labor board, something, I don't know. She's the one responsible for making the stupid report. Like, yeah, I don't blame him for not knowing her name, but he was all pissed off she got fired. I'm like, well, right? Like, so arguments to me are always, interesting. Sometimes they make sense, right? And then it's a good argument to have, in my opinion. Those are fun discussions, right? Even if I maybe agree or disagree, sometimes I'll just take the devil's advocate side. It's fun. I took debate. I didn't like it much because I actually don't care if someone disagrees with me. It's truly my problem. I don't care if you disagree. There's a lot of people that are like, well, I disagree with you, Dan. I'm like, all right, that just no fun, right? It's like, for me, I don't care. I don't give a crap what you believe. Really doesn't matter. What I believe seems to really matter in my own life. And I try to share that with people, and they, there you go. So, yeah, jets, dropping flares, whatever. Train carrying 220 cars of coal derails in West Virginia. It's not good. I guess we can play this and see. I don't think there's any noise. But, yeah, they supposedly got quite a mess. I would assume it stopped some Amtrak train stuff, coal specifically. I could see this maybe being bioterrorism, because people are anti the use of coal, and this train would be obviously a known coal carrying train to have caused this many to fall or to not be able to get from A to B. Looks like there's coal all over the place, but this drone is not necessarily doing a good job with perspective viewing, but doing a good job kind of giving us the flyover. I'm guessing all this black stuff is coal, probably, right? That's a shadow, I think, but meh. So, yeah, this is not good. Not to mention, this is going to jack up the train tracks for a while. Very interesting problem that is happening. We're getting a lot of this stuff all over the place. Trump administration's cracking down against suspects attacking ICE agents, I believe, if I remember correctly. So this had to do with a few individuals that have recently gotten arrested that were, one spit in a cop's, one of the ICE agent's faces. One literally assaulted him. We got pictures of it up here, basically. Some apparently dude working in a hospital or something decided to literally physically, you folks, for some reason I've got any Hispanics in my audience that are illegal. Don't touch them. If you are legal and you're here and you have this, like, this is my hill I'm going to die on, like, you touch a cop at all. If you touch a cop, that's going to be assault. It's probably going to be, it legally is assault. Like, you're going to have if you admit you touched them, you're done. You lost. You'd have to somehow be like, no, the wind blew and I lost my balance, because of the 42 tequilas I had, whatever. This dude threw stuff at cops. He's super transgender. So for any of you guys that are like, dislike that whole side of the fence, this dude's like, seriously, it's like, Mr. Pretty, hi. Oh, he's awesome. You're gonna love. So anyway, here's the ICE video they're putting out, which I think just should make us feel better. I think, because they're serious about doing this, and I think we all like that, right? Am I an angel or devil? Super, super good, right? I don't know, whatever. The music. Now here's Mr. Hello. This was the dude in the black up here. This guy. Oh yeah, he looks much tougher here with his. Well, you got to have pink filters. Come on, those are the only ones they had at the time, right? Let's just assume that's true for a second. I love roses. Oh, you're so sweet. Look at you. Oh, adorable. Oh, so precious. Anyway, he's in jail. And he throws stuff at cops. Not cool.
Hi, folks. I'm free, and there's a little prepared message here, so y'all can hear about what's going on. So,
yeah, I don't really want to play what's going on I mean, there's some chicks back in the 70s that I thought this was a cool look for. I'll be honest. Kind of worked for me a little bit, They had those dresses that were see-through. They didn't wear that. What's that thing? The crinoline or whatever you call it? The little thing that's supposed to keep you from being able to see the goods. Apparently he knows how to crochet, I'm guessing. Whatever. Here's the gentleman. He pushed cops. She pushed cops. Both of them got arrested. So again, ICE is making a difference, and they're pointing out to people, hey, look, don't do this. And some of that public service announcement coming out here as well. And it was a bad day to be wearing his anti-ICE shirt. This U.S. citizen is accused of assaulting a federal agent by spitting on him during immigration arrests under Operation at Large. Our agents swiftly served him a warrant in Los Angeles. This one's actually what I thought the other one was. This is this is them arresting the dude. Check this out. Am I an angel or devil? Well, that's the same damn thing. I thought there was a place in here where they put there it is, where they put the mask over him, or a bag. It was like a plastic bag. When I first saw it, I'm like, is that a plastic bag? It says right on there, do not put over children's faces. And I'm like, oh, he's not really a child. Texas legislature. All right, let's get into this whole Texas thing, guys. First off, legislature. What's their law? And at first I was like, is it just people present, people around? Like, I was very curious what the wording was, because, it always matters when it comes to these stupid laws. So quorum, the minimum number of members of an assembly or society that must be present at any of its meetings to make the proceedings of that meeting valid. Quorum is just kind of one of them words that's used for all sorts of stupid stuff that's like meetings and things like that. So Abbott threatens House. We're going to get into that threat. Threat's pretty awesome, frankly. The House must have 2/3 of its members there or 100 people present. By the way, this part's going to be very interesting in my mind. We'll get there. 100 people, specific number of people, and there's an answer to it. It's an extra hurdle, but it works and can be done very quickly and will just absolutely destroy the Democrats. And if you think about all the things that could be passed, all the things, Democrats, you guys hiding, Democrats, I'm just going to warn you. All the things that could be passed. I mean, sure, maybe after courts and appeals get done, years later, months later, but all the stuff that could be passed in your absence. Just saying. All said. So 2/3 of the members, 100 people. Senate also needs 2/3, 21 members in their case, right? House rules, if any members do not show up, they are subject to fines of $500 for each day they are absent, payment of costs incurred by sergeant at arms, reprimand, censure, or expulsion. It's written in the Constitution. Senate rules, those for whom no sufficient excuse is made by order of the majority of those present may be sent for and arrested wherever they may be found, and their attendants secured and retained by the sergeant at arms or officers appointed by the sergeant for that purpose. The President of the Senate shall request a writ of mandamus from the Supreme Court of Texas compelling their returns. It's written in their laws. This is what it says. Now, a lot going on. Obviously, Dems left. 5 things you should know about Texas's political slowdown. Right? Texas Democrats are trying to slow the GOP redistricting. What this is they're going to redistrict. It's going to give 5 more House seats to Republicans. Republicans already have an overwhelming majority. They are, trying to inflict their cancer, and they've done a reasonable job, but they are kind of losing. A lot of people are waking up. A lot of people not too thrilled with the Democrat movement. We'll get more into that as it goes. So Texas GOP wants to move forward with this. Democrats don't have the vote to stop it legally. So the only thing the Democrats can do, which is what they're doing to Trump, the only thing the Democrats choose to do when they're losing in a legitimate democratic way. They always love to hold democracy over us whenever we're fighting against them, but whenever they're fighting against us, we're cheating, this is partisan, this is political hack jobs, this is how it always is. So they can't fight us with their votes because they would lose, because not a majority of the people, democracy, not a majority of the people believe what they believe. But they want to stop that, no matter what. So if they do this quorum thing, then Texas can't do the vote. because they don't have enough people. They literally stop the wheels from moving. Now, we're going to get to Greg Abbott talking about a couple of the other things. Maybe funding for the flood victims. Just one thing that can't be voted on right now. Because these people that, if by chance what they're threatening happens, one, by the number of days it's going to take them to finally get this unraveled, consider how much legislation will have been passed in your absence. Just saying. It's a big risk these Democrats are taking. There's penalties, potential arrest, a number of things can happen. It's in the Constitution. We read it. It's unclear how long the standoff will last. Again, part of me is like, Democrats, you probably want to be smarter. If you do this and you plan on going the 15 days, which you're not going to get, trust us, we'll figure out a way to arrest you. If not, the federal government might be asked. Pam Bondi, I'm sure, would be willing to help. This is a state in need. Other states are also getting into the fight. So we'll see. They've involved 3 states, New York, Illinois, and was it Jersey or another hard blue state? These people have gone and run off to. Maybe it was New York, but New York, Illinois. Yeah, there's another Jersey or something like that. Pritzker says Texas Democrats who fled state will be protected amid arrest threats. Now, here's the thing. A federal can come in. This isn't a federal issue, so I don't know what state happens. I don't know what their jurisdiction is, right? They might not have a whole lot of jurisdiction. So we'll see. But, and again, that's not the end of the story. We've definitely got another step that they can take. But they say, they're here in Illinois. We're going to do everything we can to protect every single one of them and make sure that, because they know they're doing the right thing. They're literally stopping government because they'd lose a vote. They'd lose in a democratic process. Thusly, the only way to get what you want, which is not these new jurisdictions, which, by the way, the left is guilty of over and over and over. They do it in California. They do it in New York. They do it in Illinois. We'll get to that too. They're guilty of doing this to Republicans constantly, many times historically. Again, this is their thing. They're reaping what they sowed. And we get to sort of, this is the closest things to I told you so you're ever going to get. This is it right now. They're reaping what they sow. Or sowed, past tense. It was okay for them because what they were doing was righteous. Well, now it's being done against you. That's not okay. It is actually. It's legal, so you say. And so, yeah, we're going to do it against you. That's it. If it's not legal, we'll do it a different way, which is coming. Now, can they bust down the state doors of Illinois with Pritzker standing there? No, probably not. Probably not. Oh my God, what are they going to do? They've broken the quorum. They can just stay there indefinitely. Oh my God. Abbott threatens to remove Texas Democrats over the walkout. Let me do this part first, and let's hope this is the right part first to do. We'll find out if I did it correctly. Here it is. No. Well, we'll do it in a couple ways here. Attorney General Ken Paxton posted this in response to, I think, Dustin Burrows. Dustin Burrows is saying Texas House will be convening at 3 p.m. tomorrow. If a quorum is not present, then, to borrow the recent talking points from some of my Democrat colleagues, all options will be on the table. Attorney General Ken Paxton says, I support the immediate arrest of these rogue lawmakers who have fled their duties. These radical Democrats are spitting in the face of every Texan they swore to represent. This is cowardice and dereliction of duty, and they should face the full force of law without apology. Now, we've got more. I think this is what I was even thinking I was doing last time, but this is fine, the order we're doing it. Governor Abbott put this out, and really I want to read the bottom part because it's just all the bullshit. We've talked about it, and he's going to talk about it more. We've got video of him. He says the truancy ends now. The derelict Democratic House members must return to Texas and be in attendance when the House reconvenes at 3 p.m. on Monday, August 4th, 2025. For any members who fails to do so, I will invoke Texas Attorney General Opinion Number KP-0382 to remove the missing Democrats from membership in the Texas House. In that opinion, the Attorney General considered whether Texas law allows for determination that a legislator has vacated office if they intentionally break quorum. The Attorney General concluded that whether a specific legislator abandoned his or her role or office such that a vacancy occurred will be a fact question for a court. He further concluded that through a quo warranto action, a district court may determine that a legislator has forfeited his or her office due to abandonment and can remove the legislator from office, thereby creating a vacancy. That empowers me to swiftly fill vacancies under Article 3, Section 13 of the Texas Constitution. In addition to abandoning their offices, these legislators may have also committed felonies. Many absentee Democrats are soliciting funds to evade the fines they will occur under House rules. Any Democrat who solicits, accepts, or agrees to accept such funds to assist in the violation of legislative duties or for the purposes of skipping a vote may have violated bribery laws. See Texas Penal Code 36.02. Yeah. The same could be true for any person who offers, confers, or agrees to confer such funds to fleeing Democrat House members. I will use full extradition authority to demand the return of Texas of any potential out-of-state felons. Whether or not it's fully legal, which it probably could be, it probably will be, the Dems are in trouble. Abbott threatens to remove Texas Democrats over the walkout. We'll see what happens. Now, here's Abbott talking about it on Fox, I believe. Yeah, and it was pretty good. Check this out.
Now, thank you so much. Can you tell us from your perspective, what is the issue? Why did they leave?
So they're leaving and they've left because they're very un-Texan. Texans don't run from a fight. And there's a fight going on in the legislature right now about redistricting as well as other things. But I'll make two quick points, Dana, about this. For one, to run to states like New York and Illinois to protest redistricting is kind of like running to Wisconsin to protest cheese. It's just kind of outrageous. Those are New York and Illinois are two hallmark states that have already done redistricting to eliminate Republicans. But the second thing is far more serious, and that is what these Democrats have done. Just a small fraction of them were needed to break a quorum, and that small fraction is holding hostage legislation in the state of Texas where we will be able to provide assistance and reform for all of the victims of that horrific flooding that we've had in the state of Texas. Our fellow Texans are being let down and not getting the flood relief they need because these Democrats have absconded from the responsibility, and I believe they have forfeited their seats in the state legislature because they're not doing the job they were elected to do.
Governor, let me show everybody here what you were talking about. I think we have this map of Illinois and the districts as they've been drawn. And as you point out, it's been over and over again. They make these small little squiggly lines to make sure that they can figure out the best way to get Democrats there. So that's an example of what you were talking about. I want to play for you this sound from State Representative Gene Wu. He's a Democrat from Texas. Here's what he said.
The tool they're using is a racist, gerrymandered map. A map that seeks to use racial lines to divide hard-working communities. And Governor Abbott is doing this in submission to Donald Trump. So that Donald Trump could steal these communities' power and voice.
I have two main questions. How do you respond to his accusation that you're using a racist tool to do this? And the second question I have, if you could wrap it into this answer, is why now? Why do you need to do this in the middle of this session?
Sure. So what he just said is totally bogus. First, for redistricting purposes, it's not done for racial reasons. However, the racial outcome is this, and that is the district lines will solidify the Barbara Jordan African-American district in the Houston area, and it will add 4 new Hispanic districts. And so there's actually going to be more racial minority districts in the state of Texas. Why now? 2 reasons. One is, since we last did redistricting, there's been a change in law. A court decision affecting Texas came out and said that coalition districts are no longer required, and it's perfectly legal to dismantle coalition districts. The second is gerrymandering can be done, or drawing lines can be done, on the basis of political makeup, as in Republican versus Democrat, and there's nothing illegal about that. And then when you look at the outcome of the most recent presidential election, all these districts that are being added are districts that were won by Trump. Here's the point of that. These voters in these districts won by Trump, they don't have the ability to vote for their candidate of choice now, because they're in congressional districts, they're in a Democrat district as opposed to a district won by Trump. And so we have the authority legally under redistricting law to draw districts that align with the voter preferences of the voters of the state of Texas. And Donald Trump proved in these Hispanic-created districts that Hispanics, as well as other people in those districts, they want to vote Republican.
Let me just point this out. We've seen this movie before, and we know how it ends. If you don't have the votes, eventually you come home to Texas, and we know it, basically it's going to be overtaken by events. But you also said in your statement that you put out today to all of them, in a letter to them, you said, in addition to abandoning their offices, these legislators may also have committed felonies. What is the felony? What are the penalties for this?
So very simply, it would be bribery if any lawmaker took money to perform or to refuse to perform an act in the legislature. And the reports are these legislators have been both, they sought money and they offered money to skip the vote, to leave the legislature, to take a legislative act. That would be bribery. And so the facts will have to come out. But I think based upon comments made by legislators themselves, they face a possibility of facing bribery charges, which is a second-degree felony in the state of Texas. There's one way to cure that, and that is if they get back to the state of Texas and make quorum today, at a hearing that we have at 3 o'clock, they can cure themselves of any quid pro quo.
If they are removed, which they're prepared to do, you know they got the paperwork all lined up. Again, we want that so bad, right? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm always tempered. I'm sitting on my hands. I'm like, oh, this could get interesting. Why I chose Crockett as the chick on one of the thumbnail, you know. So we've got an issue going on that could brew into something life-changing. I want to remind you guys, of course, if you've got a 401k or an IRA, you might want to get out of that situation, diversify. Precious metals IRA is definitely a way to go. My good friends at Goldco can help you do it tax-free, penalty-free. You're going to get up to 10% free silver. A lot of really, really great stuff. Best customer service out there. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Make sure you get out of that situation before that situation gets out of you. It's true. A lot of crazy going on, so we don't want to get stuck in the middle of all that. Kathy Hochul vowing to explore every option to redraw New York House maps. Essentially, there's a phrase, you have to fight fire with fire, and that's a true statement of how they're feeling right now. And as I've lived another overused but applicable phrase, all is fair in love and war, this is why I'm exploring with our leaders every option to redraw our state congressional lines as soon as possible. Now, again, whether it's legal with the courts, but this is, again, the way the Democrats think. You've already broken the rules in the past. Duh. So, yeah, there's places where the infection is trying to be stopped because there is this infection that comes with, unfortunately, with these crazy progressives, which is apparently the Democrat Party. I don't hear any, and the Democrats I know aren't progressive. They just go along with everybody. That they do. They're afraid to stand up and say anything different, but I know they're not necessarily this crazy progressive. Their family maybe, but that's different. So it's hard to say how we handle this as a society, though it will be a trick, that's for sure, and a good test of, I think, all the legal crap, man, all the Constitution and the laws and the courts and everything is coming together. Cornyn's taking a swing at James Letitz, as I like to call her, and Schiff, but they're calling it the Letitia Act, targeting crooked politicians. This is going to create a mandatory minimum sentence for public officials who commit fraud. This will be interesting. I mean, again, it would bust Trump too, and it's kind of after the effect. I mean, if they use New York standards, we could actually go retrograde and bust them for it. They've done that before, but that's so illegal in my mind. Like I would have a hard time being okay with that. Again, they're like, yeah, but it's against your enemy, Dan. And it's like, yeah, they've used it against us. You can't do something and then expect it not to be used back against you. That's the problem the Dems have made, and it's certainly something I'm not fond of making myself, and I'm not going to promote. You guys can. That's your choosing. Democrats are planning to spend tens of millions of dollars to spin narratives on social media. They're going to find all these amazing content creators on the left, and they're going to pay them gobs of money. And probably people on the right, by the way. Expect that. There's a few people I wonder. I don't know. I'm kind of got my own betting system going on in my head. I'm like, ooh, who would start all of a sudden? And it'll be subtle. But it'll start to be in there a lot. That's what's going to happen. That's how you'll know. They're getting money. They won't do it with a straight advertisement. That's just too friggin' obvious. They'll do it through probably something else. And so again, just be on the lookout. That's the main reason I put this here. Not that it's surprising. It shouldn't be to any of you, really. But yeah, they're going to be doing this. They're going to be spending millions and millions of dollars. And really, $110 million, that's a reasonable amount of money for a content creator when you think about it. You could buy a lot of small-time people with that. Maybe not all your Laura Loomers and your, who are the bigger people? The Candace Owens and I don't know who else. Whatever. Drawing a blank on names. But it is going to be happening. The next election is going to be interesting on many levels. One, because we've got to secure it. And there's lots of talk, lots of people claiming, got money coming and flowing, right? But, all right, let's see it. Because otherwise, it doesn't matter. It's got to be paper ballots, right? I don't think there's any other way around it for the federal election, at least. For the people that represent us at the federal level. For us in states that have tough states, we've got a battle to go. But if we can get at least the bigger picture covered, we might be able to get some help. So again, a lot happening. Democrats plan to spend tens of millions. Rep Crow, he's working. People can't live in cities we run. This is, it's true. And it's the left saying it. Again, I just love to share these snippets when they're short and not retarded, which is rare.
Listen, you can't lose 90% of American counties last November and say everything is going well. You can't, right? And the key to fixing things and to moving forward is to do that introspection, to do the hard look, which we have to do. I'm a proud Democrat. I grew up in a working class family in the upper Midwest. Most of my family are conservatives. They support Trump in many cases. But and I'm a Democrat because I want a level playing field. But I know things are not going well. Right? Working people can't afford to live in cities where Democrats govern. We have in too many instances not done enough to keep communities safe. There's a lot that we have to do differently. There's no doubt about it. And we have to have that hard look.
And what about
And if for some reason there actually is a Democrat in my office, you're hearing me right now, right? If there is, please know, here's the way I see it. And I'm just trying to be a friend, right? I'm going to give my nickel's worth of free advice. Either take back your party and stop letting the progressives own it and still stand up for your party and the specific things that are great about your party and the things that you should be focused on about your party, the priorities. And then you will actually be making a huge difference in the big picture. Otherwise, become independent and let the Democrat Party die. Because frankly, if you're still affiliated with the Democrat Party and you're honestly one of the people that are more moderate, as they'd say, or you're probably one of the right-wing radical Democrats, that's what they'll start calling them soon. You guys watch. Right-wing radical Democrat or something to that effect. It'll be awesome. So we do have this strange awakening happening. Alleged Montana shooter. This dude's supposedly living in tree-covered terrain. This is real friggin' Rambo. It sounds like. They drew first blood. I want to know, did any of you all try to stop him when he was walking into town? You get him at the bridge? Because if you did, We've seen how that movie plays out. This dude's 4 days in the jungle. 4 days, all right, forest. All right, and he still alive? They've got infrared flying over. They can't find him. Now, this dude probably knows the caves, I'm hoping. I hope he knows this area. Like, there's a tunnel. I mean, I don't. He's killed a bunch of people, so it's unfortunate, but he probably knows the tunnels. Because you got to get underground. You got to be able to make a fire, but you can't do that outside. I don't know. They can't find this dude. Dude's running around. 45-year-old dude. 45-year-old John Rambo. They drew first blood. EU is going to wait years to replace their Patriot missiles sent to Ukraine. There's a lot of countries that are about to give them to Ukraine. I don't know if this is true or not. But the United States has kind of renegotiated some of the estimated delivery time. You know when you get that email from Amazon and they're like, so that was supposed to show up tomorrow. Not going to right now. Right now, it's not going to show up for a couple more days. That's what we've done. Oh, you know that system you thought you were going to get next year? 2 more years probably. And some of it basically is coming back down to, and they are not saying this directly in the article, but it's the United States saying we need ours for us first. So any of the new ones being built right now are being acquired by us immediately. Where we choose to put them and how, I'm sure is going to be part of the bigger system of the Golden Dome. I'm sure there's going to be a number of layers to that. But it probably will not become uncommon because growing up, I never, ever, I can't think of one time. And I've been a lot of crazy places. I've never seen missile batteries that you knew were like anti-aircraft expecting an attack. You know what I mean? Like never. We'd always get planes off or something. Like I know they exist. I think they pop out of stuff. That's my understanding. They're a little more hidden. But yeah, been to a lot of air shows and different air shows. Well, it's not really an air show. Sometimes they got helicopters, but like the Army ones, like, I don't know. I spent a bunch of time up in the Washington area. There's all sorts of bases up there. Enough is enough. Enough is enough, they say. Boeing did finally go on strike. The fighter jet engineers, I guess we're going to call them. And this bums me in a lot of ways. One, as I've said before, not really pro-union, but I get it. Boeing's definitely, they who knows what they'd pay if we didn't have unions involved. You guys would probably make more actually as the union because you give a bunch of money to the union. They do stupid stuff with it, and then there are times where I don't know, you didn't necessarily need to go on a strike. I also notice a lot of people that have union protection don't necessarily tend to be the hardest working type people. I've worked with a lot of different kinds of people. A few union jobs, mostly not. And it's always weird. It's like mainly because I do well in non-union jobs. Like I'm a good worker. I'm very good. Like I figure stuff out quickly. I become better than most quickly, and it's just like it's easy. It's easy to make sure you're not the problem. But when you're in a union job, that doesn't do you any good. In fact, you piss your friends off. So. Interesting. They're striking. We need planes right now really bad. Union guys making fighter jets. Well, sorry, you used to be helping national security. You used to be helping us defend against what the Biden administration has done to us. You used to be helping. I get it. You got to make more money, though. I get it. I don't know the numbers. Maybe they're horribly paying you. Maybe you're only making, I don't know, $180,000 a year, and you should be making $210,000. Maybe. But, they're saying pay from $75,000 to $102,000. I doubt that a bunch. I bet you it's more than that. These are secure jobs for the most part, at least some of them. Maybe the F-15EX isn't, and, who knows? Who knows? $75,000 too in some states, by the way, is not a bad day's office. Here in California, shit. 102, you can live on 102 pretty decently. That's pretty close to what I was making when I was doing tech. Not too far off, right? And I had a condo, and actually was doing well from that standpoint. I had a car. Like, I was doing okay. Like, I could afford stuff. Not well. I mean, I wasn't living large. I wasn't balling, but I was living. It's not bad. California money. And some places, Tennessee, dude. Oh, dude, I would have been a giant. I would have been like the trash guy. Trash guy had the biggest house on the friggin' neighborhood. Raging fire under a train in New York City, apparently. This is the new thing now. They catch fire, apparently. I don't know what's up. I don't know if someone stuck something under an incendiary underneath and they're trying to play it down. Huge flames, though. You can see it here. That's pretty ferocious and scary. People were inhaling smoke. Nobody died, it seems. Injuries were, of course, smoke-oriented. A number of people, like 8 people, went to the hospital, you know. So, again, New York. Good job, Kathy Hochul. Doing a great job. Eric, I want to like you, Eric, but can we just maybe get real serious about, like, whether it's the city council or you, Eric Adams? Because your subways suck. Super PAC targeting Massie. Thomas Massie, one of my most disliked pieces of shit in Congress right now. He's up there, and he's top one. He's top one for sure. There's others I dislike, but he is numero uno. I will do everything. I don't even live in Kentucky, and I don't want to. Rand Paul, you're probably on the list too. McConnell, you're definitely on the list. Like, Kentucky, we need help. If there's a place to do a show, it's probably Kentucky, frankly. You got to try to get some people over there and just see if we can make the state feel more normal, right? You guys, something's happening. Something's happening. I don't know what's going on out there. But yeah, Massie Super PAC. They're all Israel backing billionaires from Nevada, New York, and Florida. So they're all rich Jews, I think, that dislike Massie. For whatever reason, I find that to be entertaining because this dude's been so pro-Palestine and all that, just everything that he could do to be like a grain of sand. Like having sex on the beach and getting sand involved, right? Just ruins everything. Ruins everything. There's no way to move forward from that. None. Zero. No chances. You could want to, Mr. Gentleman, but trust me, your lady friends are not going to want to go forward. The View co-host describes Harris's interview as a microcosm of everything that's wrong with the Democrat Party. I wish I had her saying it, but it's kind of cool. She's like, I was struck by, I'm going to try not to be too harsh on this. This interview felt like a microcosm of everything that's wrong with the Democrats post-election. I'm going to CBS, and this sort of trying to make a point that they fired Stephen Colbert, which many on the left called an attack on democracy, a man who was making $20 million a year, someone I hold in high esteem, but the economics of the show were not working. She said this on some Table of 5 show, whatever the stupid show is. It wasn't The View, but oddly, I think there's 5 on The View, isn't there? Right? Because you want to get that pentagram number. Kamala Harris says U.S. democracy is broken. No. Oh, my God. Kamala Harris has an opinion. And, again, she continues on basically down the path that this has nothing to do with Kamala Harris just being like, yeah, I had a second guess, And the reason she had a second guess is because she saw the polling numbers. This chick is disliked more than, Limburger cheese, bad vagina. I don't know. What's another good one? I'm a dude. I don't know what else to, You're watching your team lose, badly. How about that? I don't know if I'll be smart enough to edit out the bad vagina comment. Just wanted to make sure I threw it in there a second time so I'd kind of commit it. It's just a choice. It happens. Stephen Colbert wondering, grabbing the bull by the... Sometimes you gotta... I don't know. Sometimes you feel like a nut. Man. Anyway. CIA Director Ratcliffe, Hillary Clinton's Russia hoax, the greatest political scandal we'll see in our lifetime. Was this actually the one I should play? I want to believe it is. Let's see if it was. Yes, this is it. Oh, thank God. It's 7 minutes. I'm going to play it a little bit faster speed. And Trey Gowdy, man, whatever. Stay focused, Dan. John Ratcliffe, they're talking a political scandal. This is huge. You guys know it. Anyway.
CIA Director John Lee Ratcliffe worked on this in Congress and again as DNI and joins us now. Welcome, Director. I sat beside you as Comey and Brennan were questioned for hours about Russia collusion. They never once mentioned this was a Clinton campaign plan. They knew it. They were co-conspirators. Would this ever have come out had you not declassified Brennan's notes and then Durham's NX? And for our viewers, what's new in the Durham NX?
Well, Trey, think about that there was intelligence from foreign intelligence services that one U.S. presidential candidate was trying to frame another candidate for treason. claiming that he was an agent of a foreign power, an agent of Russia. And that intelligence was never shared with you or I as members of congressional oversight committees on intelligence. And, but for the good fortune of me being able to find John Brennan's notes and declassify that secret may have been hidden forever, but I was able to provide that to John Durham, and you see some of that in his annex that was declassified this week. And so what you learned in this annex that many people didn't know before was details of that Hillary Clinton plan and how it included groups like the Soros Foundation and the role that the FBI played. So before all of this started, Trey, what we did know was this, that on July 31st of 2016, the FBI did something as shocking as it was unprecedented. They opened a criminal investigation into a nominee for president, a candidate for President Donald Trump, something that had never been done before. But what you learned in John Brennan's annex this week was 6 days before that, Russian intelligence predicted that's exactly what would happen, that there was a Hillary Clinton plan and that the FBI would pour oil on the fire of a firestorm that would consume the country for the next 3 years. So think about that, Trey. Either the Russians made the greatest prediction or the luckiest guess of all time, or this intelligence was real. And of course, the answer is this intelligence was real. And how do we know that? Well, subsequently, under penalty of perjury, while under oath, Hillary Clinton's own campaign manager confirmed that there was such a plan and that Hillary approved it. So that, I think, in addition to what you learn about the FBI's role that came out this week, was that this intelligence that was so shocking that John Brennan brought together the National Security Council, President Obama, Vice President Biden, Clapper, Comey, Susan Rice, and briefed them on this intelligence about a Hillary Clinton plan to frame Donald Trump, and that the CIA made the required referral of that to the FBI to investigate that as a counterintelligence matter. And as John Durham found, the FBI buried it. They didn't open a file, they didn't assign an analyst, they didn't investigate it all. They just spent the next few years, really, amplifying the lie of Hillary Clinton's Steele dossier and burying the truth of her plan to frame Donald Trump. It is the greatest political scandal that we hopefully will be the last that we'll see in our lifetime.
Speaking of amplify, Director, I want you to amplify a point that you just made, because you and I both know John Brennan, the New York Times, they're still in denial. They're claiming that none of this has been verified. Well, they have to, Trey. They have to, because to do otherwise would be to confess their guilt. My critics in this regard, Brennan and Comey and Clapper, they said I was wrong about there was no Russia collusion. They said I was wrong that Hunter Biden's laptop was real. Of course I was right. I was telling the truth. Our intelligence reflected that, and the same is true here. This intelligence is real. And for Comey and Brennan and Clapper to say otherwise would be to confess their guilt, to say that they gave false testimony, that they misled Congress, that they obstructed justice. So they have to put up these straw man arguments saying, well, we stand by our assessment that Russia meddled in the 2016. Well, that wasn't their argument. Their argument was that this was unprecedented, that Donald Trump was potentially committing treason, that he was an agent of a foreign power. And so, they have to take that point. And to the point of the New York Times and the Washington Post, the same thing. They don't want to admit that they wrote thousands of false stories. So they don't want to give back the Pulitzer Prizes that they gained for writing those false stories. So they're doing it to do anything other than to try and fight this and say that it's not real would be to admit their guilt, to admit they were wrong, and to admit that they deliberately misled the American people, which is exactly what they did. Yeah, they also might want to read Hillary Clinton's campaign manager's sworn testimony, because he admits what you just said. They deny it, but we'll see what they say when they get under oath. Is there more to come from either you or FBI Director Patel? Are there more shoes to drop that we should be looking for?
Yeah, there are, Trey. So, people need to understand that, there is no Russia collusion hoax file cabinet at the FBI or at the CIA. We have to look for these documents, sometimes that are well hidden. You have to go trace through emails and look for signs and clues that would point you to. That's how I found John Brennan's notes, and that's how we found additional documents. I've talked with FBI Director Patel. He and I will be declassifying additional documents that show just how sinister the FBI was in, amplifying Hillary Clinton's Steele dossier as real and credible to be included in the intelligence community assessment, but also in how they buried the counterintelligence referral memo that I mentioned before, how they went to great lengths to try and keep that out of the intelligence community assessment. So there will be more to come, and I think that people should expect that the Trump administration will continue to shed transparency and light and truth, again, because, Trey, there is no question, this was the greatest political scandal of our lifetime. No one wants to see this happen again. It derailed our country. It derailed President Trump's presidency, his first 4 years in office, and it really is a stain on our country that should never happen again, and Donald Trump is committed to making sure that it doesn't.
Generational damage is what I think was done, Director. But thank goodness that you found the Brennan notes. To your point, they're not like laying in a file cabinet. You got to go looking for them. And I do wonder, you're too modest to comment, but I do wonder if you had been picked to be the FBI director instead of Chris Wray, would it have taken a decade for this to come to light? You don't have to answer because I will. I don't think so. Director John Lee Ratcliffe, now of the CIA, thank you for...
Ooh, he knows his middle name even. Holy crap. First off, Trey, I don't know if you guys saw Django. The dude, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, that's like who I think Trey Gowdy. That's totally like the dude with the suspenders on the porch looking at his workers. I don't know why. Probably because it's past life or something. Here's John Thun. Again, long stuff, but it's worth it. I'm going to play it a little faster. He talks kind of slow anyways. But this is about the appointments, about the fact that the Senate just closed down. They're just making a huge point. Now, I do want to point out the fact that there's consistency. There's bipartisan bullshit that happens. So notice how they're grouped in pairs. Okay, they're grouped in pairs. Hopefully we're stopping this. If not, it's going to be such a ride. But just pay attention to the fact that the percentages are very close in pairs and then change dramatically. I don't know. Again, a lot of people may not like Thun, may not like Johnson. I get it. You guys don't like the House Speaker, and you may not like the Speaker of the Senate. First off, I don't know of anyone that would be better. You guys, I'm always not always interested in hearing what you have to say, but I will say that there is the question there, big time with that one, right? Because I don't know who's better. Who'd be better at bringing everybody together, at herding a bunch of cats? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know who John Thun was, and I knew why we didn't like him. I heard all that, but I never really knew him. And now all of a sudden, I'm like, dude, he's doing a pretty decent job considering he's got a crap ton of rhinos. He's got a whole bunch of people that are probably literally willing to change party. Collins, Murkowski, McConnell, these guys are constantly against him, right? And there's a few others. Fetterman will probably come on board if we need him to. Manchin was there. I don't think he's still there. Maybe he is. But still, John Thun. Powerful stuff, good stuff. It helps us understand the bigger picture that we're kind of fighting with right now. And we do need to understand that, that's a bummer, that we are moving as quickly as we can. Things aren't necessarily coming out as fast as we'd like. Things aren't working the way we want to because we still have a bunch of deep state people all over the place. We have cancer. So we've got to deal with that. And this is a big part of what's happening. So enjoy that part of the movie before the other part of the movie happens that you're looking forward to more, right? Because you already hate the enemy, right? You're like, oh, I can't wait to see him get it, right? You're going back and forth, right? But the reality is we've still got a whole bunch more movie that has to happen before that part of the movie happens. Believe me, though, it's going to build up to it, right? It's not wasted movie. It's movie that's going to make it even more delicious. What's that seasoning they put on stuff, the deep state? They put it on flavonoids or whatever? Yeah, it's like that. It's like one of those things that makes it taste so good, you're just like, I gotta have it. Yeah, that's what's going to happen, folks. That's what's happening. I'm just telling you.
Now, Mr. President, I wish I had more good news or better news to offer this morning on the nominations front. I wish I could say that we had also reached an agreement on a nominations package yesterday. But unfortunately, Democrats continue to engage in their historic obstruction. Mr. President, for decades, Democrats and Republicans have regularly cooperated to swiftly confirm the many individuals selected by each president to serve in their administration. Regardless of the party in the White House, both sides have long agreed that a president deserves to have his or her administration in place quickly. That doesn't mean we don't disagree, but it does mean when nominees are held up, opposed, or blocked, it's for a legitimate purpose, not for leverage in partisan games to score political points at the expense of public safety. Now, let me repeat that last line, Mr. President. But it does mean when nominees are held up, opposed, or blocked, it's for a legitimate purpose, not for leverage in partisan games to score political points at the expense of public safety, end quote. Now, interestingly enough, Mr. President, those last lines aren't mine. Those are the words of the Democrat leader, just 3 short years ago. And I truly wish it was the philosophy of the Democrat leader and his party still espoused today. But instead, they have embraced a historic level of obstruction, slow walking every single one of President Trump's civilian nominees, including nominees who have ultimately received substantial Democrat support. That is the very definition of the partisan games the Democrat leader deplored just a few short years ago. And so just to put a fine point on that, Mr. President, I want to show you where we are relative to history with regard to nominations. As you can see, going back to the presidency of George H.W. Bush, 41, as he is affectionately described by many, 98% of all the nominees were confirmed either by voice vote or unanimous consent. That was also true of a Democrat president, Bill Clinton. George W. Bush, 43, had 90% of his nominees confirmed either by voice vote or unanimous consent. And President Obama, so we went Republican, back to Democrat, also had 90% of his nominees confirmed either by voice vote or unanimous consent. Well, that started to drop off in the first Trump administration, down to 65%, dropped down to 57% during the Biden administration. But what's really striking, Mr. President, is here we are 6 months into, more than that really now, into this current administration, and that right there, a big fat 0, is what the Democrats have allowed in terms of nominees either confirmed by voice vote or unanimous consent. Now, under any circumstance, Mr. President, and I understand there are strong disagreements with our colleagues on the other side of the aisle, don't like the president, all that. There's certainly that element, but this is historic and unprecedented obstruction when it comes to allowing someone who has been elected by the people of this country in a fairly significant, I would argue, mandate, an election, to get their person in place to do the jobs that the American people elected that president, President Trump, to do. And so you cannot, under any circumstance, defend that. Now, you can say, you know, we can argue, and these numbers are not moving in the right direction, which is why I would argue we've got to change the process by which we do this. Otherwise, we're going to continue to deteriorate to where any president that comes in here is going to be very, very hard-pressed to do the job the American people elected him to do. So, but really, that one right there, that big fat 0 sticks out in a very big and significant way. And I wonder how Democrats' continued determination to slow walk President Trump's nominees will play with the voters, who, after all, as I said, elected President Trump with the thought that he'd be able to fill up his administration. Mr. President, Democrats need to get serious about agreeing to a nominations package to confirm a number of these outstanding nominations. And I would tell you, and they are well aware of this, that a lot of the nominees on the current backlog are nominees who have bipartisan support. In some cases, broad bipartisan support. Multiple Democrats voting for these nominees coming out of the committee. There are a whole bunch of those that are backed up on this backlog. And so, Mr. President, I sincerely hope that they will change their tune and decide to work with this administration to make that happen. Otherwise, I mean, I've said this before, and I think it's true. I mean, we are setting records around here for hours in session. We are setting records around here for number of votes cast. I mean, not by a little, by a lot, relative to previous Senates. And a lot of it has to do with that statistic I just pointed out. It's time for that to change, Mr. President, and we're not asking a lot. We're just simply saying, treat this president, at least on some level, in the way that previous presidents, both Democrats and Republican presidents, have been treated in the past by both Republican and Democrat Senates.
Yeah, things have changed a little bit, haven't they? Gotten a little bit out of whack, maybe. So yeah, strange times. Dropping the drug prices will be key factors. Trump is trying to get everybody to understand, hey, this is what we need to talk about. New memo going out to House Republicans talking about the great deal that Trump did. In fact, I think this story before gives us some cool stats in there somewhere. It was him talking about it.
So we'll see what happens.
Mr. President, what advice do you have for Republicans on Capitol Hill heading into midterms? What do they need to do? What can they do to, hold?
Well, one of the things they're going to be talking about pretty soon are the tremendous drop in drug prices. You know, we've cut drug prices by 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500%. I don't mean 50%. I mean 1,400, 1,500%. Because we're going favored nations. We want the same price as Europe gets. We want the same price as other country gets. And over the years, 25, 30 years ago, it started where there were charging us much more. And I put an end to it, with the letter that you saw last week. So I think that's going to be a point. I don't know how anybody could win an election if they're on the other side of that issue. So we'll be dropping drug prices. It'll start over the next 2 to 3 months by 1,200, 1,300, and even 1,400% and 500%, but not just 50% or 25%, which normally would be a lot, because the rest of the world pays much less for the identical drug, and we're going to be paying the same thing. We're going to have a favored nations. We will pay as low as the lowest nation in the world.
You guys all know how, the airplane people out there, you know how it's always like you can't hear him because of the whine of the engines? Is that just the APU that they got going on this guy? Is that why it was kind of reasonably quiet? Because it was still blinking and all that? But it's not. He's at, Joint Andrews or something probably? I'm sure he's at a place where they're like, dude, no, if there's a problem, we got a bunker here. And no, he's not getting in a helicopter. Right? So maybe they can stand down. I don't know. They're in the middle of a runway. That's always good. But I don't know, whatever the case is. It seems super quiet. I was just wondering for any of you smart people out there that are, no planes and stuff way better than I do. A new memo is being sent to House Republicans. Oh, yeah, I talked about that. Tesla founder Elon Musk, he gave $5 million to the MAGA Inc. Super PAC in late June amid his public disagreements with Trump. He literally gave to the MAGA Inc. Trump PAC, basically. He also gave $5 million to the Senate Leadership Fund and Congressional Leadership Fund, the Hill reported. So Elon Musk, I think, and this was probably a smart move on his part, rather than publicly saying something that he's just going to look stupid for, because, again, we've talked about it. I'm not trying to be, the dude's a genius. He is on the spectrum. And it's no slant on any way, shape, or form. He's a very unique individual that you would have an extraordinarily hard time probably getting along with. Also, he probably has a hard time having relationships with anybody, so we've come to find. And shared that story yesterday. So the fact that he's doing that is a public kind of display, a PDA, if you will. And that, I think, I don't know. How do you guys think? How do you think about that? Hey, by the way, hit the thumbs up. I never ask. I should remember to ask. And also subscribe if you haven't. If for some reason you don't know where to watch me, literally just type On the Fringe. One word, On the Fringe, in a browser search. And I should be the top few. So find one of those that you like best. And I am on YouTube, but I don't know what that one looks like currently still. Nancy Mace announces campaign for South Carolina's Trump in heels governor. Interesting way that she's going to go about it. Certainly smoking hot, so it's a great way to I guess play off that side of it. I guess Trump in heels, snap. I guess kind of. Maybe she doesn't do the snap thing. Don't know. Snap count. Schumer and Jeffries demand the GOP leaders meet on government shutdown deadline. It's kind of funny. We weren't able to get our $1 billion. They still want their money. We weren't able to get our $1 billion for USAID stuff and other things. And so Senate shut down. We haven't actually put anybody in their positions, which really just looks bad on Democrats right now. You're you guys are literally you're running out of Texas to stop government. You're literally keeping Trump from being able to get his appointees in. So you're, again, trying to stop government. It's interesting how the Democrats roll, right? This is what we're seeing. This is what we're seeing. Again, being a Democrat right now has got to be hard because you got to support this or not. You don't have to. Either take charge of your party or become independent. Oh, it's freeing. I was never a Democrat. Never will be. I've said it before. Never a Republican. Never have been. Never will be. Independent, always, and just proud of it, right? Proud to be an independent. I don't stand for anything. You can get mad at me for it all you want. That's totally cool. I'm okay with that. I know it pisses people off, too. You can't stand in the middle of the road. Yes, you can. It's awesome. Both cars going both ways. They usually don't drive right in the middle. It's rare. It's rare. And if they do, it sucks. That's a bad day. Bad day in the office, they would say. Senator Burns introducing bills to root out embedded foreign interests. I like this. She's got a first bill. It's going to ban the purchase of agricultural land by any foreign individual or business associated with an adversarial country. They're saying China right now has about 370,000 acres. That shouldn't concern us at all. Yeah, of course it does. Hello. Second bill focuses on capital city. It would require the District of Columbia to end the so-called sister city arrangements. They've got all these little sister cities. And a lot of them are kind of, some of them are kind of no biggie. Some of them are kind of sort of biggie or attempts at biggie. And they're like, no, we're us. If anything, we're DC and DC's DC, but we don't give a crap about this is our sister city. Yeah, none of that nonsense. Third bill would require the Department of Housing and Urban Development to work with state and local government to assess whether and how foreign buyers, including those that have shell corporations, are distorting the U.S. housing market and threatening national security. A lot of questions around BlackRock, Vanguard, and all them too, but certainly other countries buying out a lot of the housing and messing with housing prices. And really, some could say maybe is part of how things have gotten a little bit over crazy in the housing market, and everybody's tripping out on how housing prices haven't risen the way they want them to lately. But it's like, they're kind of ridiculous. And on top of that, we're probably thinning population a wee bit. So demand's going to go down a little bit. Housing prices probably should come down a little bit. It'll be part, hopefully, of somewhat. I feel like there should be a somewhat deflationary, but I'm just hoping we kick the Fed out and somehow Treasury. But I don't know how that works. There's way better people at that answering those questions. But for the most part, I kind of get it. I took a year at I took a year of economics. Macro, micro. I got both of them. 2 semesters. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a good class. So I get a lot of it. UN is shocked, dismayed as it finds its own reports not widely read. The UN's like, what? Nobody really cares that much about our stupid reports. And that's actually true. A huge majority, in fact, of the reports aren't actually looked at. Let's see, where was this up here? Top 5 reports are downloaded over 5,500 times, while 1 in 5 reports receives fewer than 1,000 downloads. What also they're failing to say is what the most popular reports are probably like very unique, and the fact that there's only 5,500 downloads is not a very big number. It's just let's couch all of these things. But then if you're going to say 1 in 5 reports, well, that's in counting the top 5%. The top 5% is slanting the average in general. So this 1,000's kind of a stupid number. If you took the top 5% out of that and just really averaged out everybody else against statistics, it would be significantly lower than 1,000 downloads. So again, it's just funny. Numbers are a fun thing. They're a lot of fun. They're like a slip and slide, basically. I mean, I think pretty close. CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Oh, I do have it here too. I think this might be different. I don't know. I think I played the whole thing, so we don't need to play this part. I'm not gonna play that. But yeah, they buried all sorts of counterintelligence stuff. I mean, the truth is coming out. Truth is coming out, folks. Kash Patel came out with this today. Major update from your FBI. We're expanding global operations to confront some of the most serious threats to the American homeland: foreign influence, cyber attacks, CCP espionage, and counter-narcotics. Australia is a critical ally in the fight. Thank you, Aussies. Good night. And our team just returned from high-level meetings with our Five Eyes partners to deepen intel sharing, strengthen joint counterterrorism and cyber efforts, and push back against the CCP's growing aggression in the Indo-Pacific. This is how we keep threats off our shores before they ever get here. News at 11. Dude, I just like Kash. And the fact that we know he was down in, they don't even mention New Zealand in this post, by the way. You guys, I don't know if you guys caught that. We talked about it yesterday. He was in New Zealand. I got hit by my Australian. He's got a show out there, Dirty Q. You guys should check him out. But he was kind of giving me grief. But this is how they roll down there. They're like New Yorkers, sort of, but with a cool accent and just like way laid back. So it's like weird. It's like you got that New York kind of energy without all the like. It's like good eye. Like they're laid back, but they'll bust your balls in a second. Like a crocodile. Like everything down there can kill you, by the way. I don't know if you guys know that. Like the average butterfly in Australia, this is a true fact. Average butterfly in Australia can kill you in 3.4 seconds with its venom. First off, just made that whole thing up. That was a whole fake story. Fake story. There's no such thing, but you believed me for a second, didn't you? Yeah, because that's how Australia is. There are no deadly butterflies that I'm aware of. 0. That'd be cool though, huh? Fucking butterfly, right? Like it would change our entire reality. People have tattoos of the MK program. Anyway, it would mess a lot of things up. Justice Department dismisses race-based 44-year-old consent decree, some stupid-ass thing that existed forever back in the Carter administration now that he's dead. Too soon? 1979 is when they put this in. It entered in 1981. Reagan got the joy of it, I guess. Draconian test to review and implementation procedures for the Office of Personnel Management, like how you could hire people. It was basically early DEI is what it was. I don't want to get into all the details, but yeah, this is out of here. And simple, let's see, it's simple competence and merits are the standard by which we should all be judged. Nothing more and nothing less, said U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro for District of Columbia. It's about time people are judged, not by their identity, but instead by the content of their character. Wow. So Janine Pirro did this. She had some stuff that she had her heart set on, right? Reminds me of my show I'm doing this week. I'm going to be doing a 4 for Friday. I say that weird because it's not really 4 entirely. 4 for Friday. I'm doing the Beatles, so I broke them up. Obviously, I don't do Ringo. But I do 4 songs of the 3. And that was, I don't know, reasonably easy to pick songs. Then I was like, oh, just pick 4 Beatles songs. That was stupidly hard. Stupidly hard. Very hard. If you had to pick 4 Beatles songs to play just to kind of represent the Beatles in any way, shape, or form, could you? No. So first off, there's not 4 songs. Second off, it was stupid hard. I was like almost bummed afterwards. I'm like, why did I choose the Beatles? It was a bad idea. First part, cool. Anyway, it's all recorded. It's going to happen. We're doing it. I think it came out okay. I think I got to switch. The last song I was going to play is definitely not the right song for the last song, so I'm going to play that first in the last block. So I had to make some changes. Whatever. It's happening. It's happening, folks. We're doing the Beatles. 4 for Friday. Except there's more than 4 songs at the very end. Shh. India's not buying massive amounts of Russian oil. They are then, this is Trump truthing this. I should probably, for people that aren't paying attention or looking at the screen, India is not only buying massive amounts of Russian oil, they are then, for much of the oil purchased, selling it on the open market for big profits. They don't care how many people in Ukraine are being killed by the Russian war machine. Because of this, I will be substantially raising the tariffs paid by India to the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He's pissed. India's not, they're not playing the game right. They're buddying up with China and Russia. Well, they don't like China a whole lot, but they're buddying up with Russia, and they're kind of going against us, and they never really have gone with us. And they've never let us really buy or sell into their markets at all. And so we're like, here's the thing. If you're going to sell here, we're going to get a little more money out of it, and otherwise, don't do it. I don't care. And India, this is, Trump's playing a freaking sweet game right now. I don't know. I think South Africa's having a super hard time with it. This dude's Cyril Ramaphosa, the dude that's like, I know nothing of these people that are dying. Like he knew nothing about it, but at the same time, all these things react well to bullets. That's what he said next. And I was like, what? How can you do 2 accents? Because that's what would have happened if I kept trying to do his South African accent. Anyway, the U.S. is South Africa's second largest trading partner by country, and these measures will be considerable impact on the industries that rely heavily on exports to that country. Long story short, we used to get in easy and cheap. Now, what I think is funny is he says, this has nothing to do with prices. This is just, we used to be able to get in easier. And it's like, well, if it's not the price, then feel free to keep paying the higher, just charge more for the product, and then life's good, right? Life's good. You get the money back, and you can pay your tariff. Because again, it's not about the fact that there's any sort of competition. They said such sectors as agriculture, automotive, and textiles, they're just bringing in, what did they say? Considerable impact on industries that rely heavily on exports to the country and the workers they employ, as well as our fiscus. They say they talk about this disruption. They say right here it is. The do not compete with U.S. producers and do not pose a threat to U.S. industry, says their stuff, right? So if that's the case, if it poses no threat to our industry, Well, then just raise the price, home dog. Come on, Cyril, bro. Please. That's all you got to do. Raise the price. Raise the price, and then you can sell it here all day long. All day long. You can sing that song by Lionel Richie, even though I don't think he's South African, but he's black, and that should be legal. Should be legal. Gold's up a little bit, by the way. So it's 34.31. I like that. NASDAQ, and it's funny, as futures were down shit hard yesterday early in the day. I mean, I was doing my show, and they were crap. I showed them on the screen. Crap. They were down a bunch. I was like, huh? And so somehow that changed. Futures all magnificently changed, and all the losses from yesterday, from Friday, so I should say, seem to have come back. Now, the VIX confidence in the system is going up. Well, this is what VIX is. When VIX goes down, confidence goes up. When VIX goes up, confidence goes down. Yeah, it's backwards. Why? Because it would make sense if it was like any other way. If VIX represented confidence, it would then be easy. But it's the inverse of confidence. Why? So gold's up. That just means our currency's losing crap. And also oil's down, which probably also ties to our currency, to be honest, a little. But at the same time, because that's weird for the price to change that much from an OPEC standpoint, that's actually probably more akin to the movement of our dollar. Crashy crash. Again, that's the Federal Reserve note, specifically, I believe. Anyway, Russian Chinese coders secretly insert malicious code in open source software. Anybody running open source software, there is this implication that everybody has completely code reviewed it. That's rare. Some have, probably. Certainly the ones that actually put it out to make sure that others just copy it and paste it and punch it in and start running it. So yeah, there's a lot of malicious code in a lot of these things, especially if it's coming from Russia, China, Iran. Again, the deep state places, not necessarily the countries themselves, but this is where a lot of these factories are. So open source code, just be careful. Open source doesn't mean it's safe. RFK Jr. announces the repeal of a policy that rewarded hospitals for reporting staff vaccination rates. I don't know, they were tying this to some other weird funding. And if your rates were high enough, then yay, you got more money or whatever. So he's like, no, that's not stopping. That's not happening anymore. We don't need places of business trying to force people to get vaccinated just so they can get their numbers up. That's kind of messed up. So that's going to be changing. That's good, I would think. Most Americans won't get COVID-19 booster this fall. I was interesting numbers. I was curious. Actually, pulled it up and read it. But supposedly around 37% said they would definitely not receive the shot. 23% said they would probably not get the shot. 21% said they would definitely receive. And 19% said they would probably receive. So, yeah, just the numbers. I don't know. There's that. Again, I just want to let you guys know if for some reason a crazy situation happens where everybody's got COVID again. It could happen. It's a virus. So antivirals, we've got actual doctors that prescribe this because they know what they're talking about. Actual prescription meds. Oh, you can add what pieces, you can piece it together. Huh, interesting. But yeah, it's got Ivers, it's got the Ivers in it. It's got the hydroxychloroquine. It's been a while. They've laid it out differently, so it's like messing with me. It's got the Z-Pack or azithromycin, which is an antibiotic. It's an oral pill, 12 tablets of that. They got that with it as well. They've also got generic Tamiflu, which is also an antiviral. It's also a neuraminidase inhibitor. Yeah, because you know what that is. They've also got budesonide, it's generic Pulmicort, and they've got the nebulizer as well, the thing that makes it all misty, right? And it'll help your lungs open up if it gets really bad. So this is if for some reason they manage to get all that crazy stuff going on, know that you can get that. Also, maybe it's too much info, guys, but look, here's the thing. This has been an experience for me, and this morning, I was actually looking in the mirror. I got a couple freckles and stuff, right? There's normal things, but there's just that thing I had to I'm like, wait. And I literally had to get close to the mirror to be able to see it. So it's almost gone. I don't know, 20 days, if that. That's not even that, probably. This stuff is rad. I've noticed a lot of things, but as the overall is happening, I'm noticing this thing going away, and I'm like, that only represents what's happening inside of me, right? Like there's things that are slowly shrinking and disappearing. If you've done any sort of investigating into what parasites are involved with and how they are involved in our life, this right here is the cleanser. Ivermectin, 25 milligrams, that's a big old dosage. And mebendazole at 250 milligrams, also a big dosage. All cool. Doctors are involved. It's a prescription. They literally mail it to you. It's friggin' fantastic, and you'll probably feel much the same way, especially just that peace of mind, knowing what it's doing and helping with. So a couple really key things to consider. Also, if you know somebody that rolled their sleeve up, Ultimate Spike Detox is a great supplement to be on for anybody. Both sides of that equation, by the way. You're with them or they're them, you're them. Definitely want to check that one out. And they got like weight watch, they got teeth, gum, they've got stuff for your weight. They've got a whole lot of really, really cool stuff. I would highly recommend it. Can't sleep, they've got stuff for that. That's not necessarily that melatonin, right? Because that's bad. That's a hormone, and that'll mess you up. They've got testosterone support. Didn't look like it actually had testosterone in it. Anyway, doctors are doing it. You got to make your own decisions, but they got a lot of incredible products. I should open it up. TWC, The Wellness Company. TWC.health/OTF. TWC.health/OTF. Yeah, healthy choices, healthy living, and be prepared for just the crazy that could happen, right? They've got weird stuff happening all over the place. Let's see. Malicious code. I feel like we already talked about that. Syria fighting erupts overnight, shattering potential truce. It's interesting. I feel like it was this story that talked about how one side of this war, it's right here, I think. One side of this war, yeah, here it is. Video from last night shows CIA-backed al-Julani militia launch rockets towards Pentagon-backed Kurdish SDF militias. If there's even a smidgen of truth to if there's even a smidgen of truth to this, that is deep state versus patriots. That's what that is. You figure out who the hashtag is of choice. Iran demands compensation from the U.S. for blowing up their stuff and everything, all the damage we've done, and we want money, or we're not going to talk to you about anything. And if you want us to tell you we're not going to make weapons, then it'll cost you money. And sounds pretty much like Trump's going to be like, all right, well, we just won't talk to you, right? That's cool. Is that an option? Seems like it is. So it's not going to talk to you. If you do anything stupid that we don't like, we'll blow it up. I'm telling you right now. There you go. End of story. End of conversation. No money needed. It was free of charge. On the house, as we'd say. Israel government votes to fire country's attorney general. This is a big deal. Probably going to mess her name up when I say it, but whatever the hell, I don't care. The Israeli government voted unanimously on Monday to fire the country's attorney general, Gali Baharav Miara. Yes, of course. The government has just unanimously approved the proposal of Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Justice Yariv Levin to immediately terminate the tenure of this lady, according to Levin's spokesperson. Baharav Miara has often been criticized by the government of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who accused her of abusing her authority to undermine the government. I'm wondering if this dude's good. Like, I'm so ready to be wrong. Like, I swear. It's just forever he's been labeled as, I don't know. Anyway, save him for last. I'm hoping. Folks, I just don't know. I'm telling you. I'm still out to lunch on that one. Israeli Supreme Court issued this injunction on Monday to stop their firing. So we'll see, because they haven't exactly been able to get past the Supreme Court in a lot of stuff. Maybe they shouldn't. I mean, who knows? Government censorship of the internet is worse than ever in England or UK, probably because it extends to their other little places, their islands and whatnot. Their online safety act's pissing a lot of people off. I don't really want to get into wasting a bunch of time because they're pissed off already because they live in England. It's cold. It's cold. Russia's nuclear ambitions face funding crisis there. Rosafom, they're actually really big in the world of making nuclear plants just anywhere, in your backyard. You want one? Call them up. They won't in America, of course, but But pretty much. And so a lot of the times there's financing that goes into that. And Rosatom's kind of like, we're overextended, basically. We need the government to help or something with deep pockets because all the banks and stuff have cut us off. We're not allowed to do business. So it's slowing them down or creating a problem. And China is going to catch them, so everybody's fighting everybody right now. Kremlin's urging careful use of nuclear rhetoric. They speak of what Trump said, and they're basically like, hey, we're very careful how we use that word. We only say it when it's Sean Connery shooting next to bullets or somebody close to Sean Connery. Then it's brought up. We even then are sort of generic about it. UK is plotting an attack on an oil tanker. This is what Moscow's saying. Now, again, it could be fake. Sure. Main reason I'm putting it out is because if it was, in fact, going to happen, then I want to make sure it doesn't. British Secret Services are considering using Ukrainian forces to sabotage or stage a sabotage operation and trigger NATO actions against what the West has described as Moscow's shadow fleet of oil tankers, the Russian Foreign Intelligence Services said on Monday. Statement claimed that UK spies are considering either blocking a maritime traffic bottleneck by damaging an oil tanker it claims is part of a shadow fleet, or staging a major fire at a nation friendly to Russia during a port call by one of the vessels. It would appear that the nostalgic sentiment over the lost domination on the seas and crown-sanctioned piracy has fully knocked remaining common sense from the British Westerner nations. They have been trying to curb Moscow's oil trade. Intelligence community. There we go. Maybe if they move it way over here, that's kind of not good for the eye. The eye catcher. Whatever. Long story short, they're trying to mess with this secret fleet. They want it to look like it was Russia's fault. We've been seeing a lot of weird things happening on both sides of the fence, little strange places of stuff just exploding out of nowhere. We've even had it happen here in the States recently. It's not just there. Ukraine's anti-graft agencies say they uncovered major drone procurement bribery case, in fact, involving somebody close to Vladimir Zelensky. This was why he tried to shut these two organizations down, but he was going to lose his funding from Europe. So he changed his mind. NABU and SAPO, these are the two organizations. They are, essentially now able to do what they're supposed to do and are probably going to bust some people within his little inner circle. Chief suspects in Moscow 2024 massacre pleads guilty. These were the dudes that came in that killed 149 just civilians in the opera theater. Horrible. The four dudes, they're going to jail, probably going to lose their lives, but whatever. That's stupid. Dodge all that. Let's see. Exclusive Trump admin updates visa categories to block men from women's sports. So literally, you can't come here and play sports as a woman if you're a man. It's not allowed. Blue Origin launched 6 more civilians, a trip to space. I don't know. I just want to share with you guys. I saw this thing exploding. I don't think it should keep going up. I don't know when I feel like it's that submarine thing that happened. Anyway, that I just wanted to share. But yeah, 6 more people went up again. Let's see. Airport worker warns of growing fear of a luggage scam that's happening. So guys, be aware of this. Don't do this when you're in and I'm guilty of this big time. So I haven't traveled since learning this yet. But what I used to do, and this is why it's bad. What I used to do when I get my luggage, if I had, check-in luggage, right, and I wait and I finally got it off, I'd rip that stupid tag thing off and I'd throw it away at the airport thinking, they throw this shit away all the time. Like, this is a better place to throw it away, right? Rather than just keeping it on the luggage and taking it home. The reality is no. In fact, you should take that thing home with you, or if you want to take it off and shove it inside, take it home, or take it off and shove it in your pocket. You don't want to throw it away on premises. Reason being, these barcodes, and you can very easily make barcode scanners, and a lot of these things, especially if they're standard barcodes, which they are, and I forget the numbers. There was a couple different standard ones that were typically used. It's been a little while since I was programming barcode stuff, but they have very specific ones that are very common, and you embed a bunch of information in there. And so it'll have your name, your address. It could have a lot of information. You believe me, it could have a lot of information. You'd be surprised. So if you learn how to read it, if you learn where the breaks are, you can actually piece out what's going on. So they can actually scan them and figure stuff out about you. So don't throw it away there. People have been checking it in as missing luggage, but they've got all your info. So they, just saying. I didn't know it, so I thought that was worth bringing up. All right, cool, and just a sad day, kind of. I don't know. But Lonnie Anderson, known for her role in WKRP in Cincinnati. She died at the age of 79. I think it was reported 80, but I think they only did it based off of the years. But I think her birthday had probably not occurred yet. So the second story I saw was very specific about it being 79. And I think Lonnie would have appreciated that. So Lonnie Anderson, of course, freaking gorgeous. And I guess was married to Burt Reynolds for a while, and I think others. Was that the one that she was with Motley Crue? Or no, who's that? Pamela Anderson? Pamela Anderson, no. Sorry. Get these Andersons confused sometimes. All said, crazy stuff happening in the world. We are losing some of our friends, and we're going to keep trying to move through this. I think there's a lot of transition that needs to happen. You guys, your ripples are making the difference. Hopefully you keep doing it with us. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't. Where we go one, we go all. And it's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.